So today I want to talk about something that I've literally never once heard anybody else talk about, and it kind of blows my mind. And I find myself honestly just scrolling and scrolling online, just waiting to hear somebody else say this, but nobody's saying it. Nobody's saying it. So I'm gonna have to go and say it, and it probably won't go very well for me in the current climate, but we'll see how it goes, okay? I'm gonna give you a summary of what I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail. The summary is, I believe that neurodivergent people can and must take more accountability and responsibility in their relationships with neurotypical people. And if you already hate me now, I mean, I don't really care, but I mean, if you can leave, but also I hope you stick around because I think that we can actually come together on this. So hear me out, okay? So I am, for all intents and purposes, neurotypical and always have been. There's a little part of me that thinks maybe that's not the case, and maybe that's why I struggle so much with certain things. But then another part of me thinks that maybe I'm just incompetent and immature, and that's all there is to it. So I don't have time to figure it out. So for all intents and purposes right now, I am neurotypical for the purposes of this discussion and otherwise. So as a neurotypical, on a very regular basis, without me prompting this whatsoever, my algorithm will spit out at me all this content about neurodivergence, okay? The bulk of this stuff is gonna be about autism. ADHD is another big one, and then there's obviously another mix of things, and then there's an overlap of different conditions and whatever. But autism is like the big one. And so it's all this content about people who have autism or ADHD or a number of other things or everything together, whatever. They make skits about what it's like to be them, basically, in the world, right? How they experience life, the social struggles that they face, and the frustrations that causes, and the sense of loneliness. And I do have compassion on that, you know, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I feel bad that that's how you feel. And I'm grateful for the content that you guys make. I'm grateful that you share your experiences, because I feel like over the course of me watching all this stuff, and then eventually I would have to like click not interested, just to get any kind of other content. Like, it would overwhelm my feed. And when I say feed, I'm talking like Facebook right now, because I have notifications, not notifications, I have, well, that too, but like I have recommendations turned off on YouTube. So when I open it, it's just a search bar and nothing else. And I have Facebook, which you can't customize as good as you can customize YouTube, and that's all I have right now. So I'll be on Facebook, and like my entire feed is like autism, ADHD, neurodivergence versus neurotypicals, whatever. And it's like, so I'm really grateful for everything that I have learned, and I'm still learning and stuff, you know. And two things can be true at the same time. So I'm really grateful for everything I've learned and for the education that I've been given. And I also get very angry sometimes and resentful at the consistent undertone in almost every video and comment section on the topic that neurotypicals kind of just suck, and why do we try to fit in with them anyway? And like I said, like I have compassion, and I do understand. Like, if you walk around every day and you feel other, because you are in some ways, right? Like, you know, your brain works just in this different way, and then people don't get that, and they don't know that, and then it causes all these different problems, and you feel like people aren't making an effort, and it takes so much work on your part to fit in and all this stuff, that, you know, whether consciously or not, you want to go online, you want to be in a space where you are the norm, you are understood by default, and the neurotypicals are the ones who are kind of on the sidelines looking in, and they are the weird ones, and you get to kind of like joke about like, why are they like this and stuff. And it's not wrong for you guys to do that, right? It's very human, very understandable. And you get to poke fun. Like, everybody should be made fun of anyway. That's what I believe. But it devolves into, and sometimes it's subtle, other times it's very overt, hatred of neurotypicals. Where basically the message that I'm getting as a neurotypical watching this content, like my algorithm throwing this content at me without me asking for it, right? The message I'm getting is, these people suffer because you exist. These people suffer because you and people like you exist. Because here's the thing, I'm not, like, most neurotypicals are not trying to make you feel bad on purpose. They don't. And so the other thing is, I know there's some neurotypicals out there who don't care, and they're going to be mean, and they're not going to accommodate, and they do not care. But then there's people like me who do care, and they want to try, and they want to learn, and all this stuff. But then we get the message that all these other people should have gotten. And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, with this like point that I'm trying to make before I get to the main thing, to like, how to resolve this, right? Point that I'm trying to make here is, I think you should be making your content for people who want to learn and try, not as like revenge against the people who don't care if they hurt you, who don't care how you feel around them. Because so whether you make that content or not, they're not going to care, so you're wasting your time. So maybe make the content for people who care, like me. But then it's tough when I'm getting the message that like, basically, you suck, and you're fake, and you're selfish, and you're annoying, and you're probably not trying hard enough. And I'm like, yeah, so I don't want to hear that, man. And I'm just telling y'all, this is the message that people, neurotypical people, get when they watch your content. I don't know how to like make this sound nicer. Like, that's just what it is. And that's the problem, because like, how are we going to come together, and how are we going to create a culture where not only are we learning the information about you guys, but also there's a sense in which, hey, we want to make an effort to come together, okay? Because right now it's like, I'm getting all this good information, and for me it's helpful because I can separate the information from how the commentary on it makes me feel, right? So if I close my laptop and I'm angry because somebody said like neurotypicals are all fake, which, I mean, I've seen that so many times, like, like small talk is just like all fake. I can make a whole nother video about small talk, but like, no, it's not all fake. It's fake sometimes, yeah, sure, whatever. But like, a lot of times it's like a genuinely useful and joyful tool that we use to connect and to exchange micro information, and to like, I'm not a scientist, I don't have like all the big words for it, okay? And I'm not gonna make this whole video about small talk, but I'm just telling you, like, no, it's not, neurotypicals are not all fake, and they're not all selfish, okay? A lot of them are just not educated. But then, when we try to get educated, we also get lectured about how we're not trying hard enough. So once again, I'm just coming back to like this undertone of like, it's anti-neurotypical instead of informative. Or just like, it's informative, but also anti-neurotypical. And like, okay, can we just have the good part? And can we just come together? And how do we do this, right? Well, so what I want to address first, what I want to say before I go any further here, is if you're neurodivergent and you're a content creator, or maybe you're like just engaging heavily in these kinds of circles online, you might be saying to me, well, Feli, if you've learned this much through all those videos you claim that you've watched, then why don't you understand by now that we don't do the whole subtle undertone thing? Okay? I'm not trying to tone police you. I'm asking you to check your heart. Those are two very different things. Because the Bible says, and my whole entire life experience tells me, that out of the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when I'm getting an undertone, and I'm getting like the message, it's like neurotypicals suck, and they are fake, and they're selfish and annoying, and screw them anyway, it's because like, if hate against neurotypicals comes out of your mouth, that's because it's in your heart. And I'm not saying this to like try and be mean to you. I'm not trying to assume bad things about any one of you guys watching this right now, but I'm just telling you, like, I'm asking you, like, please check your heart. Is there hatred against neurotypicals because you blame them for all the pain that you've experienced? You know? Like, have you allowed yourself to just get bitter? And are you just operating from this place of constant bitterness? And when you're educating, you're really trying to like jab, you know? You made me feel bad, now I'm gonna make you feel bad for how you make me feel. But it's like, you understand, we just exist the way that we exist, and we're not trying to be hurtful on purpose, right? So here's the thing. How do we solve this? I think it's really, this is why I'm so surprised that nobody's talked about this before. Like, I think it's not that hard. Like, if both parties can just operate from a standpoint of, okay, these other people think, perceive the world, like process information and express themselves in ways that are not intuitive to me, and I don't have an instinct for it. And so in order to have a meaningful and mutually, you know, blessing, mutually beneficial, mutually refreshing relationship, I will have to make a conscious effort. And here's where the disconnect is for me. And once again, you know, maybe like I don't know that much, and I'm not claiming that like I fully understand every single factor that's at play here, but I'm just telling you, as a neurotypical, I watch this stuff, and the message that I'm getting is that the weight of responsibility to fix this disconnect is 100% on me and on neurotypical people in general, and 0% of the responsibility is on the neurodivergent group, because they suffer so much that basically it offsets any responsibility they could have. And so in a neurodivergent neurotypical dialogue, it's always going to be the neurotypicals who have to go out of their way and go the extra mile. And if they fail to make the neurodivergent person feel completely included or understood or whatever, then that's a moral failure on their part, and excuses any amount of neglect or just unaccountability on the part of the neurodivergent person in that situation. That was a really long sentence, but the way I know you guys, you're tracking. But maybe not. See, and that's the thing, because there seems to be this idea that if neurotypicals wanted to, they would just always know exactly what to say or do and what to not say or not do to make y'all feel included and accepted. But we don't know that. We can't read your minds. Like, just as much as you struggle with what comes naturally to us, we struggle with what comes naturally to you. We don't know. We have to, like, you know, so even if I'm in a group and I have like one neurodivergent person there and everybody else is like me, then I have to like consciously like click, and when I'm talking to this person, I'm gonna like talk differently, you know, like, because I want to connect with them, but I have to do it like this really different way. And so it's like, yeah, it's work, right? But I'm just like, here's my thing, y'all. If you can have, and I know it's all a spectrum and everything, if you can have a place to stay and a job and a car and a makeup routine, and maybe let's throw a pet in there. Some of y'all have pets, right? And then you can have, on top of all that, an online presence with a vibrant community. Then I can ascribe enough capacity to you guys and say you're high functioning enough to take responsibility and be accountable in your relationships with neurotypical people. And I'm not saying, and hear me now, I'm not saying put up with abuse. I'm not saying put up with people who keep ignoring very specific things that you've tried to explain to them multiple times in multiple different ways, and boundaries that you've asked them not to cross and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying put up with like straight up abuse. I'm not saying put up with people who are selfish and they just don't care. And yeah, they exist. But just as much as morally corrupt people exist among neurotypicals, they also exist among neurodivergents. And it's just like, the messaging needs to be that we're all people and there's good and bad among all of us, and we need to make a conscious effort to understand each other and communicate effectively and show our care for another in ways that the other can receive, you know, and that's meaningful to them. Both parties, though, have to make this effort. And I'm not, like, I'm worried that I'm gonna at the end of this video kind of, that I'm gonna just like go in circles and repeat myself. And if I do, I'm sorry, you know, like, check out whenever you want to check out. But like, can't we come together on this though? You know, like, can't we come together on this? Like, all I want, like, I'm gonna be real vulnerable here. For me, what's been a pain point is when somebody I really care about, like, every time that I express that like something they said or did hurt me, there's like this thing of like, well, but I'm autistic though, so like I couldn't have known that I would hurt you, or that I would, you know, that would like hurt your feelings. So therefore, I'm not going to apologize, and I don't have to apologize. And I'm like, dude, no, that is not how that works. And that's where I'm telling you, like, that's where you make a choice, okay? I understand that neurodivergence comes with suffering that I, for the most part, don't have to experience. Not on a day-to-day level, for sure not. And I'm sorry that that's the situation that you're in. And if I could change it for you, I would. And to, you know, as much as I'm able, like, yeah, I want to make a difference in your life. If I, you know, if I make friends with you and you're neurodivergent, or like even if I'm acquainted with you and you go to the same church as me or whatever, like, yeah, I'm gonna make an effort, you know. But at the same time, I'm also just human and I can't read your mind. And it's hard to learn like new habits or new, you know, and then have like different communication habits with these people and then different communication habits with you, right? So like, you need to give me grace and time to like figure this stuff out, and you need to like communicate with me and like talk to me about this stuff, okay? Like, don't sit there and expect me to always get it right. And if you're ever uncomfortable in our relationship, or if there's ever miscommunication, or if there's ever an inconvenience, it's because I did not try and I did not care. Because if that's the burden, like, I'm at some point gonna, you know, check out. That's gonna be too heavy for me at some point, you know? And I think I'm not just speaking for myself, like, that is too heavy to have to bear the entire emotional weight of, if anything goes wrong, it's because I didn't try hard enough. And that can't be the message, y'all, you know? Like, please, like, if you've stuck with me this long, props to you, you know, please, you know, search your heart and really think about, like, do I, you know, if I have a neurotypical person, like, tell me that I hurt their feelings, do I actually care that they were hurt because of something I did? Because, I mean, that's what you expect us to do for you, and rightfully so. But then it needs to come the other way around. It needs to come back it needs to be reciprocal, okay? It needs to go both ways. So it's like, let's have mutual accountability. Let's both make an effort. And I think if that's where we're coming from, we can really thrive together, and we can really do great things together, and we can complement each other so well. My husband and I, so he's on the spectrum, right? Yeah, he's already, I think he's said that plenty of times on his YouTube, so I can say that. Like, it's not a shameful thing either, but like, also, I don't want to put people on the spot, right? So, but we are different in that way, and we have to make a conscious effort, like, every day. But it's so worth it, because I feel like we have brought each other so far, and we have taught each other so much, you know. So let's just all try that, you know. Let's not put the burden all on one group. it's not all on you guys as neurodivergents to, you know, mask and, you know, mold yourselves according to whatever we want to see. Like, be authentic. But also, you got to give us the same grace. You got to give us the same break, you know? And we're also just people. And so let's just all, like, you know, come from that place of, like, authenticity, but also responsibility. And I think we're going to be fine. So, I don't know. Like, somebody needed to bring that angle to the table. And I guess here it is.